Peter here, aka Peter Freak Out 10, bringing an episode of the Movie Review Show with the good movies are always reviewed. Okay, back into our movie review today. And we're continuing to bring more scares to you guys with Screamfeast! Whoa! Okay, now on today's episode, as you guys know, I can't go through Screamfeast without talking about one of the Halloween films, or two, considering first time reviewing them. But getting back into it, we are on another installment in the franchise, and this is one that I was actually planning on reviewing last year. As you guys know, I didn't review any of the Halloween films last year, but originally my plan was to review this one last year, but unfortunately time went by so fast, and on top of that, pretty much just a lot was on my plate, and on top of that, a lot of other reviews I needed to do, and because of that, just really a lot was packed into it, and I had to eat what was on my plate with the time that I had, and on top of that, just as it got closer and closer and closer, I kind of was like, you know what, I'm going to save this for next year. So, of course, now you're going to get it. I'm going to wait for Halloween 5 next year. But, you know, it is what it is. At least I'm finally going to get to see it. But, moving on, this is actually the first time I actually watched this film, too. And I never actually saw this film because when I was little, I saw the first 3 Halloween films. And this one, flipping through the channels, and I saw it, just really didn't interest me, but I kept it on. And also, another reason why I didn't really watch it was that particular reason, and it just really wasn't going anywhere. But when my mom saw it, she was kind of like, because she had this strict vibe where if it was a sequel to a film that was already graphic, she knew that it was going to go up top more, which they do with their sequels. They're going to go more and more top. But she was kind of like, no, you're not watching this, change the channel, watch something nice. But which one are we up to? We are up to Halloween 4, The Return of Micheal Myers. And they're making it very clear Micheal Myers has returned. Sorry, I burped there. 10 years ago, he changed the face of Halloween. Tonight, he's back. But before we go into this one, let me give a quick little recap on the Halloween films. In 1976, John Carpenter gave birth to Halloween, a film that changed the slasher and horror genre altogether, all thanks to the start of Black Christmas and this film, which all revitalized the slasher genre. And thanks to those two, the slasher genre is now remembered even to this day. Inspiring films such as Friday the 13th, A Nightmare on Elm Street, even Silent Night, Deadly Night got its inspiration from Halloween. But really enough, Halloween, if you guys have not seen it and you claim you're a horror fan, get off your butt and go see it. I mean it. But what is there to say about Halloween that hasn't already been said? It is a classic. It's fun, it's edgy, it's dark, it has a great cast from Donald Pleasence to Jamie Lee Curtis. The story was really interesting, and it gave birth to the horror icon that changed the face of the slasher genre for many, many years. Micheal friggin' Myers. No, not Austin Powers. But, yeah, Halloween is a classic, and despite it not being gory, it still has some scenes where you're like, ooh, that's gotta hurt. Yeah, because the kills in this are definitely twitchy kind of kills, and they definitely make you feel like, ooh, like that. And I like that about the film. You definitely feel the pain that they're in. And it leaves on a very, very shocking ending. And the film was so good that it became the highest grossing independent film in the box office, and that would later be surpassed in 1999 by the Blair Witch Project. However, because of all the moolah they were making, they decided, let's give it a sequel. So the rights were handed off to Universal, who began production on Halloween 2, and in 1981 it was in theaters. And Halloween 2, I'll be honest, when I saw it for the first time, I didn't like it. I literally hated it. I bashed it across the wall. I would say that it was dumb, didn't really have the feel of the first one. But as I've grown older, I started to appreciate it more. I started to really love the movie, and I really started to have fun watching it. So, Halloween 2, I really like. I like the hospital setting. I like that it continued the story. It wasn't just like 5,000 years later and he's still alive. I like the fact that it still remained in the area and it still played by the rules that the first one did. Just because it was in a different area, it still felt creepy. And Jamie Lee Curtis does a good job. I think, to me, out of all the Halloween films so far, this is Donald Pleasance at his best in this series. I think he performs the best in this one. And I just think it's really well done, the movie. And the kills are definitely some of my favorites. I mean, the one scene, even though I didn't like this film as a child, the one scene that stuck with me was that scene in the hot tub where that nurse gets her head shoved in it, and she's like out screaming and her face is all red. I was like, oh my god, like that was crazy. Good effects too. So, of course, Michael Myers at the end of it died, and it was only fitting to basically take the series in a new direction because John Carpenter wanted to focus more on an anthology side to the Halloween franchise rather than continue the Michael Myers story. And so, Halloween 3 came around in 1982, and not very good. The film was bombed, and it had a terrible reception due to the fact that it had no perception of the original, and it was also said that the ads told very little about the film due to the fact that the people thought it was going to be a continuation of the Michael Myers story. But unfortunately, the ads themselves, and let me just say this, the tagline for the movie is "The Night No One Comes Home." And that should say something considering the fact that the first two are "The Night He Came Home" and "More of the Night He Came Home." So, if you guys think it isn't Halloween, then I don't know what you guys were watching. The ads specifically say that it wasn't going to be Michael Myers. But it bombed and is considered by many to be one of the worst in the Halloween franchise. I don't know why though, but I can understand why people don't like it. I can get that because this is a movie that I can see the direction that John Carpenter wanted to take. I can understand why he wanted to take it, and I can understand it, but I think people miss the point of that, and I think that maybe if it was a different series, or maybe if it was starting its own series, maybe it would have gotten some more respect than what it was given, but unfortunately, no. Nobody liked the whole idea, but I liked it. I liked Tom Atkins as the main character. I thought he was a different kind of protagonist. There's some really cool death scenes. I always remember that one scene with the woman who looks like roadkill after she got electrocuted. I was like, oh. And I always remember that kid with the snakes coming out of him. Like, it was a good. I liked it. I liked the other cast. I liked the villain, Dan O'Hurley from RoboCop. I just don't get it. I don't get the hate, and I think people should have been. I don't want to put the blame on the people, but I definitely think they should have listened more. Not to say that they're stupid, but I think that they could have emphasized that it wasn't going to be Michael Myers a little bit better through the ads, and I definitely think that that would have worked more, but I like it. I really like it, and it's definitely one of my favorites in the franchise. I definitely think it's one of the most unique in the franchise. So, after the Halloween... I'm mincing my words. After Halloween 3 bombed, the Halloween series was in jeopardy. And so they decided the best thing to do was to bring back Michael Myers. Bring back the shape. And so Universal gave the rights back to Mostifa Akkay, and in 1987, Halloween 4, The Return of Micheal Myers, came into theaters. Now, this is a film that was directed by Dwight H. Little, who wrote Tekken. He actually didn't write Tekken. He directed Tekken. He also directed Rapid Fire with Brandon Lee. And this is also screenplays by Alan B. McElroy. Now, Alan B. McElroy has done a lot in Hollywood. He also did Rapid Fire. He did, what was that one film he did? He did Spawn, which is a film that I actually love. I don't know why it gets so much hate. He did a few episodes of Spawn animated series, which I think is how we got the job for it. He also did Tekken, which is... I know a lot of people hate Tekken, but I like it. But Halloween 4, this is a movie that, as I said, I watched it for the first time, and I remember hearing everybody loved this movie. I remember everyone was just so nice about this film because they brought back Michael Myers. Everybody was like, wow about it. Everybody thought that this film was great. Well, I shouldn't say they thought it was great. They liked it. They liked it better than 3, and I didn't know what to expect from it. Even as I saw a little bit of like it on TV, I was sort of skeptical about it. But I finally got a chance to watch, and I gotta say, I like it. I really, really like it. That being said, it is definitely not as good as the first 3. The first 3 in my mind are the best, but this one I actually really, really like. That being said, it has a fair amount of problems, and I can definitely understand some of the problems that I don't think a lot of people see, but I think a lot of people have mentioned some of the problems with the film. But anyway, moving on. The film stars Ellie Cornell, who you might remember from Halloween 5, she's in a lot of other stuff. You have Daniela Harris at a young age in this film, who grew up to be hot. She was in Halloween 5, and she also was in Urban Legend. She's on the TV show The Wild Thornberrys, that cartoon on Nickelodeon, with Tim Curry, among many others. You have Michael Pataki. You have Sasha Jensen from that movie, that one film. What is that one film called where they're all like... I forget the name of that one film, but you have Kathleen Kim on with a quick cameo in That Thing You Do, among many others. But Halloween 4, I really, really like this film. That being said, it is nowhere near the classic that the first one is, but I definitely do like it. I definitely really, really do enjoy the film, and I thought it was a good way to bring Michael Myers back into the story. And I think if this was Halloween 3, everyone would have just shut up about it. But anyway, the basic plot of the film is basically this. It starts up, it is now 10 years after the events of the first 2, and Michael Myers, despite being blown up at the end, is now in a sanitarium, and he's now disfigured. And basically, a group of people come to pick him up out of the sanitarium. And as they're driving him back to the doctors in Haddonfield, he wakes up and kills everybody and makes the van drive off the road, and now he's going on his way back to Haddonfield. And meanwhile there we meet Jamie, played by Daniela Harris, who this was an early role in her career before she became hot. And basically, she's the daughter of Laurie, Jamie Lee Curtis. And basically, she's now basically going through a rough time. Her sister is, well, I should say sister, her guardian, who's basically like a sister to her, is basically like trying to live her life, go out with this guy, played by Sasha Jensen, but it becomes harder because she has to watch her. But also, pretty much, she is going through a rough time at school because kids are tormenting her, and she's having bad dreams about Michael. And I just want to get this. This is one of the few complaints that I have about the film, is that in this scene, you have Michael Myers come in, and for some reason, you guys know he has a different mask in the film, but for some reason, he has, like, he's wearing the mask that he's later going to get in the film, even though he doesn't have it at the moment, because in the film you see him all taped up and whatnot. Like, his face is all taped up. I'm like, is she psychic or something? Is she psychic? But really, I thought that was confusing, but then again, it's the same story where he's burnt to a pile of ash, and yet he's able to, all he is has a little scar on him. But yeah. Jamie is also going through a hard time at school because kids are picking on her, and she doesn't want to go trick-or-treating, but after the bullying takes it to another level, basically she decides, I'm going to throw off the oven mitts and say, I'm going to go trick-or-treating. And basically, she goes and gets a costume, and we learn that Ellie Cornell is going out with this guy, who, as I said, is played by Sasha Jensen, who is a jerk to her and just throws her off, and immediately goes off with this other girl, played by Kathleen Kinmont, who she finds out that she's going with him. Pretty much after all that, You also have Dr. Loomis, played by, once again, Donald Pleasance, who is basically knows that Michael is back, and basically he goes back to Haddonfield and basically finds Jamie and Rachel, played by Rach. What am I saying? I'm mixing words. I can't talk today. He finds Rachel and Jamie and takes them to this house, and basically now Michael is out trying to basically find Jamie and basically kill her. Why? Probably for revenge on Laurie, but we learn in this film that Laurie died in a car crash, which of course is not the case because we will later have Halloween H2O, but we'll get to that later. But we learn that she was killed in a car crash, and basically now the whole Michael Myers thing, it has spread to the entire town, and everybody's fearful of it. And basically, as that goes on, we start to see Jamie get stronger. We start to see that relationship with her and Rachel put to the test. And so the film goes from there. And Donald Pleasance now has to put a stop to Michael and his rampage. Will he be able to save Laurie from Michael and putting her on a death list, or will she be the next one in the Strode grave? I can't do it, but Halloween 4 is great. I don't want to say it's the best one in the franchise because the original is definitely the best. I even heard people that like this more than the original, and I disagree with that. Halloween 1 and 2 and 3 are the best, but it does have its problems, though. For example, some of the stuff I don't understand, like, how is she able to have this dream with Michael in his new mask, but he doesn't have the mask at the moment, and how the heck does she even know what the mask looks like in that part? Wouldn't she know the mask that he wore in Halloween 1 and 2 instead of the new mask? But I don't mind. This is the same story where he's burnt in ash in his left, and just as a scar, like a boo-boo. But I really like the film. I think it's really well made. I like the story of Michael this time. I like the fact that this time he's not doing the whole trying to kill Laurie story that we've seen a lot in the first two. This time he's actually going after a little kid, and to me that shows how messed up Michael is. The fact that he's actually going after a little girl, for that matter, and that's just messed up. I think that's like the most shocking part of it all. And I think that this one kind of reverts back to the feel of Halloween and really puts that into perspective really well. And I think this one does it better with establishing the feel of Halloween a lot better than Part 2 did, but not as much as Part 3 did. Part 3 to me was about Halloween. This one just kind of goes back to it, and that's easy to see through the opening scene, because Dwight Little's direction, I think, really establishes the feel of Halloween and really does it really well, because in the beginning, I like how it's shot, how it's like in this area, you see a pumpkin, it flashes from the area around it and whatnot. And I thought it was a really good way to open the film. I thought it was really well done, and I like the fact that they didn't just go over and do the Halloween theme over. I think this was a different type of opening, and I thought it was really well done. So, Halloween 4 has a great opening. I like the idea of him going after the kid, and I like the fact that this time, even though Laurie's not in the film, they still find a way to include her in it. It didn't feel shoehorned. It didn't feel like it was shoved in there for like a quick second or whatnot. It was still a central part of the story, and I really like that about the film. And I think they really emphasize on her basically leaving a mark on Jamie really well, and I thought that was put into the film really well. I thought it was established well that she misses her, and it's really well done. It's really well done. I thought the writing was strong. As I said, those two couple of things I really don't get, but still, really like that about the film. And the acting here is top notch. This is, as I said, this was Daniela Harris's first role. And I thought she did a really good job in this film. I liked the fact that she's not an annoying kid. She was likable. And I like the scenes with her as she goes through school, being picked on, and she's the one acting more mature than some of the other kids are. And you see her breaking down, and you have scenes of her basically trying to overcome her fear of Michael, and really trying to overstep the fact that, oh, he's in my life and this is what's turned my life upside down. That's the whole thing. But I kind of like that about the film. I like the fact that she doesn't feel like an annoying brat like a lot of directors feel the need to do with some of their girl characters. Like, this one would particularly be like an annoying girl, but just the water running. But this one in particular didn't feel like an annoying kid. It just felt like a real girl. I mean, granted, she cried in some parts, but it was understandable. She still acted like a kid. And I do like that whole thing about the film. And I also really like Ellie Cornell. I thought she was a likable character. I like her relationship with Jamie. I thought she had a really good chemistry. Granted, there was a scene where she came off kind of like, I needed to do this and whatnot, but she acted mature about it, and I really feel that's another thing the film succeeds at, is making the characters feel more mature than anybody else in a slasher film. Granted, there are a couple characters, but I felt that Rachel felt really mature and really just felt realistic. She had realistic things to say, whereas some of the other slasher films, like even in the first two, like, I shouldn't say the first one, because the first one they felt realistic, but the second one, some of the characters felt stupid. This one, I think, really kind of makes the characters feel more realistic. I feel they have realistic reactions to some of the stuff. I think it was well acted in the film. I think it's really well acted. Especially that one scene that comes to mind is, to me, like one of the scenes where one of the characters was like a jerk. Well, I shouldn't say he's a jerk. He's like so full of himself. He tried to ask Kathleen Kinmont out, but he got rejected. And you later see that incident with Jamie in the store. She sees Michael and she breaks a mirror, and you think this guy's gonna be a jerk, but no, he acts like he asks, is she going to be okay? And I like that. I like the fact that the characters feel realistic in this film. And granted, you have the side characters, but most of the main characters feel unique in their own parts. And I think that Rachel is one of the prime examples. And I like the fact that she's willing to go to the edge just for this girl who's not even blood related to her. So, yeah, I really like that about Ellie Cornell. I also really like Dr. Loomis in this film. Donald Pleasance, I think, does a great job in this film. I definitely think Halloween 2 he did better in, but this one, I like the fact that he's prepared for Michael. He understands what is going on, and I really like that about his character. I think he knows where he's going, and when he gets to the sheriff's office, he's like talking to them, and the sheriff is realistic too. He even has points where they're going out and trying to basically find Michael, whereas a lot of other horror films will just be like, ooh, no problem, but this one they actually feel realistic, and I like that about it. So, really like that about the characters. I thought it was a different change of pace, and it worked. It really, really worked for the characters. I think it really fit the movie. So, yeah, I like the acting from Ellie Cornell. Then you have Sasha Jensen, and who's like the jerk and whatnot. I mean, yeah, he's a jerk, but he played a good jerk. That's all that needs to be said. He's not given much, and granted, at the end he does stick up for her, but yeah. I will say, one of the cast members I did not like was Kathleen Kinmont. If there was anybody I did not like Kathleen Kinmont. I thought her character was unneeded. All she did was act like a total, I shouldn't say it, but she acted like a total pushy jerk. And throughout the entire film, when she's on screen, you just want to punch her. You just want to punch her. And it just annoyed, her character was annoying. She didn't care about anybody but herself. And she's like, oh, I didn't know you and him were a thing. Like, you had to have known it. You saw him making out in the place. Like, I'm like, is this weird? Like, do we really need her in the movie? Thankfully, she gets killed in a good way, but I did not like her character. I like the other cast, though. I like the guy who played the sheriff. And, yeah, I like the sheriff. I like the fact that he's aware of it now. And he's trying to help them, and all the acting is pretty good. The acting is well done. All of them give great performances. Each one does something new with their characters and not just bring out the stereotypical kind of characters that we're aware of when we see slasher films, and really just do their own thing with it. And I like that about the film. I think Alan B. McElroy knew to be realistic with the characters. So, yeah. And also, I like the fact that with this one, it feels like I like the fact that Jamie and Michael are more like. I like the fact that in this, like, they have a link together, and you see, like, Jamie trying to fight it, and it's really hurting her in a lot of places, and you see her with touching his hand at the end. Like, I like that. I thought that was really kind of weirdly. It kind of shows that she still. I don't know how to say it, but she kind of just still sees that there's a side of good of him, but still sees most of the bad in him, and this freaks her out, and that kind of also shows she confronted her fears. So, yeah. And also, I really feel this film makes great use of some of the side plots of the film. Like, we already talked about one, but you have the side plot of, like, people of this bar trying to kill him. I thought the film made great use of it. It didn't dwell on it for too long. It was put in there for good measure, and it actually made sense to the story. And I did not mind that about the film. Whereas a lot of films like put in this side plot that really goes nowhere within 2 minutes, and then suddenly like, hey, remember that side plot went somewhere now? This one I feel really does it really well. It made use of the side plot, and like one scene when I'm watching the film, I was watching this like last night. That scene where they're like where they're going and they see like someone in the bushes and they start shooting them. I thought they were gonna be like freeze, and there was like the vase, because there was a vase right there. I thought they were gonna say, oh, just the vase, but they really start shooting. I just thought of that. It was funny, but still, I like that side plot. And a lot of people complain about the mask. As I said, I really didn't mind it. I thought it was really well done. Granted, I know it looks a little bit more cheap in this one than it did in the first two. I dare say the second one had the best mask, but this one I think it's well done. I think it's well done. I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be. I think it looked really, really cool, too. Definitely to me, I think the second best mask, but yeah. Also, the film has some good gore. This is definitely more gorier than the previous three. Definitely much more gory than Halloween 3. One guy gets his neck pulled open. There's another guy that gets stomped through his forehead. So yeah, very good vicious killings, good practical effects in the film. And the film just rolls along at a decent angle. It doesn't feel too long, and a lot makes sense to the film, and overall it's just a really good sequel. Definitely a lot better than Resurrection or Halloween 5. We'll get to that next year. I saw that one before this, and I'm just going to be like, oh. But yeah, this movie it's good. It's not as good as the first three. I'm going to say that again. It's not as good as the first three. Make that clear. It's not as good as the first three, but it's a fun and entertaining sequel, and I really, really like it. It's definitely a lot better than some of the later ones. I feel this was a great return for Michael Myers, and I definitely think if you have not seen Halloween 4, I highly recommend you go check it out. All in all, I give Halloween 4 an 8 out of 10, and it deserves it. Therefore, it gets the seal of approval. I mean, granted, some of the little plot holes don't make sense, and some of them could have been used a bit better, but I still feel overall this was a really fun and entertaining, fast-paced sequel that really no Halloween fans should miss. So, yeah, really, really enjoy this film. But that's my review for Halloween 4, and next time I'm going to do a review on Stephen King's Graveyard Shift. This one I've been wanting to talk about for a while. This is going to get my dad to watch this, but he already saw the film, and I remember I asked him a long time ago, have you seen it? And he's like, no, I haven't. And he's like, and I'm like, now that I brought it up, I'm like, now you remember seeing it? Wow. But that's one film I plan to review, and You guys know I did a review on this film, Hellraiser. This is my all-time favorite horror film. Now I'm going to talk about Hellbound Hellraiser 2. It's one film I'm going to review. I'm going to be watching some films tonight. Also going to be reviewing Arachnophobia, a film I wanted to talk about for a while. So, yeah, those are the few I plan to review, and I'll see you guys later. Tell me what you guys think of Halloween 4, The Return of Micheal Myers, in the comments below, and be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Don't forget to thumbs up that video to bring more scares to us.